I pressed play on his old phone. I was only trying to find a photo he had taken of our daughter's school project. But what I saw shook me so badly I dropped the phone. There was my husband, wearing makeup, a long dress, high heels. He wasn't alone. A man stood behind him, holding his waist. They kissed like I didn't exist. Like our marriage never happened. Like our child didn't matter. I froze. My heart stopped. My hands shook. My whole body went cold. That was the day I found out my husband was living a second life. His name is Felix. We met 10 years ago. He worked at a small bank in town. I was a school teacher. He was calm, soft-spoken, neat. People called him gentle. I thought I had found someone safe. He never raised his voice. He helped me cook. He changed diapers when our baby came. People said I was lucky. Not many men are like him, they said. They were right. There weren't many men like him. But not in the way they thought. Looking back, I see all the signs. But back then, I just thought he was different. He didn't like football. He didn't have many male friends. He spent hours in the bathroom. Sometimes I'd find my lipstick out of place, my clothes folded wrong after laundry. I thought I was just being careless. He would get very quiet if we passed by men holding hands. He never said anything bad, but his face changed. A tight smile. A faraway look. I once found a wig in the back of our wardrobe. He said it was for a costume party at the office. I didn't ask again. I didn't sleep that night. I kept staring at the ceiling, wondering what I had done wrong. Was it me? Was I not enough? Was our marriage fake? The next morning, I acted normal. I made breakfast. I packed our daughter's lunch. Felix said he was going to work. I watched him tie his tie. He kissed my cheek and said, "See you later." I didn't say a word. When he left, I locked the door and cried like someone had died. Because in a way, someone had. I waited until our daughter was asleep. Then I asked him, "Who is the man in the video?" He looked at me. He didn't deny it. He didn't shout. He didn't even look shocked. He sat down and said, "I was going to tell you." "How long?" I asked. "A few years." "A few years." I felt like my body would break. "While we were married?" "Yes," he said quietly. "And the dress? The makeup?" "That's who I am," he said. "That's how I feel inside." "So you're gay?" I asked. He shook his head. "It's more than that. I don't feel like a man. I feel like a woman. And I love someone who sees me that way." I sat in silence. I didn't know what to say. He said, "I didn't want to hurt you." But he did. That night, I lay next to a stranger. He didn't try to touch me. He didn't say goodnight. He just lay still, staring at the ceiling, like I had done the night before. In the morning, I looked at him getting dressed. The same man I had called husband for 8 years. The same man who held my hand in the hospital when our daughter was born. But now, he said he wasn't really a man. He said, "I'm still your partner. I still care about you." I shook my head slowly. "You're someone else now." He said, "No, I'm finally me." I wanted to know everything. I needed the truth. "What's his name?" I asked. He hesitated. Then he said, "Tony." I imagined this Tony. Was he tall? Was he rich? Was he better than me? "How long have you two been together?" I asked. "Almost a year." A year. Our daughter was 5. She still couldn't sleep without her bedtime story. While I was making dinner, helping with homework, folding clothes, he was living a second life. I felt small. Like I was just a piece of a puzzle he didn't need anymore. He stopped sleeping in our bed after that week. He said it didn't feel right anymore. He started buying new clothes, dresses, blouses, soft shoes. At night, after our daughter slept, he would go into the guest room and close the door. Sometimes I heard music. Sometimes silence. I saw makeup brushes in the bathroom. I saw perfume I didn't recognize. One evening, I peeked into the room. He stood in front of a mirror, wearing a pink dress, lipstick on his mouth, and a scarf on his head. He looked peaceful, like he had just come home from a long journey. But I didn't feel peace. It was a Sunday morning. Our daughter sat on my lap, playing with my hair. She looked up and asked, "Why is Daddy wearing your shoes?" I didn't know what to say. I said, "He's just trying something different." She nodded. "Like when I wear your lipstick?" "Yes," I said, forcing a smile. "Just like that." But inside, I was crying again. Because one day she would know the full truth. One day she would ask harder questions. And I didn't have the answers. I told my sister first. She didn't believe me at first. Then I showed her a picture. One I took by accident when I opened the wrong folder on his laptop. She gasped, "This is Felix." I nodded. "What are you going to do?" she asked. "I don't know." She said, "You can't stay with him." But it wasn't that simple. We had a child, a house, a life. Even if I left, the pain would come with me. One afternoon, he asked me out to lunch. We sat in a small restaurant, away from town. He wore a light shirt and a soft scarf. He looked calm, not like someone hiding anymore. He said, "I want to be honest with you. I want to move forward, even if it means we separate." I looked down at my plate. He said, "You deserve someone who wants you fully." I whispered, "I wanted you. Fully. But you gave half of yourself to me and the other half to him." "I didn't mean to," he said. "I was scared." "So was I said. "Still am." A month later, he gave me the papers. We didn't fight. We didn't scream. I signed them with quiet hands. He said, "I'll keep helping with our daughter. I'll never stop being her parent." I said, "But you've stopped being my husband." He nodded. "I know." That night, I cried in the shower. I pressed my face to the cold tiles. I let the water hide the sound. No one tells you how it feels to lose someone who's still alive. Still down the hallway. Still humming a tune. Just, not yours anymore. He packed in silence. He folded his shirts, some of mine too, things he had borrowed, or maybe taken without asking. He placed them into 2 suitcases. One for his old life. One for the new. Our daughter asked, "Where's Daddy going?" He knelt beside her. "I'm going to stay somewhere else, but I'll come see you every week." "Why?" she asked. He looked at me. I said, "Because sometimes grown-ups need to live in different houses." She cried a little. Not much. She was too young to understand the full truth. But I saw the sadness in her eyes. He came by on Saturday morning. He was dressed in jeans and a loose blouse. Hair curled. Nails painted. Our daughter ran into his arms. He smiled. Not awkwardly. Just like before. Maybe even more relaxed now. They played in the garden. They laughed. He brought her a new storybook. When he left, she said, "Daddy smells nice." I nodded, but my throat was tight. It felt like watching someone else raise her with me. Someone who looked like the man I loved, but wasn't. In church, people whispered. Some stopped greeting me. Some hugged me tighter, as if I was a widow. One woman asked, "How are you holding up?" Another one said, "I always knew something was different about him." It hurt more than I thought it would. Not because of their words, but because they didn't know him. Not really. They didn't know how he stayed up with our baby during colic nights. How he whispered to her until she slept. How he made me tea every Sunday after church, without fail. He had changed, yes. But parts of him were always good. 1 year after he left, he got married again. To Tony. I saw it on social media. Not from him. From a friend of a friend who tagged him. They wore matching suits. Then later, matching dresses. He smiled in every photo. I stared at the screen, unsure how to feel. Was I jealous? Angry? Confused? Maybe all of them. He had a new life. A new name. And I was still learning how to breathe again. Now she was 6. Smarter. Asking more questions. She sat by the window one night and asked, "Is Daddy still a boy?" I didn't lie. I said, Daddy doesn't feel like a boy inside. That's why you might see him dress or act differently. She thought about it, then said, okay. That was all. Children understand more than we give them credit for. They feel love before they judge it. Maybe we should learn from them. I tried dating. Once. It didn't go well. I kept thinking about Felix, now Felicia, her new name. I kept comparing voices, laughs, kindness. The man I met was fine. Kind. Polite. But when he touched my hand, I pulled away. Not because I wanted Felix back, but because I didn't know who I was without him. He had changed. But so had I. And I hadn't learned how to live as just me. One Sunday, after our daughter's school play, Felicia asked if we could talk. We walked by the playground. She said, I want to thank you. For what? I asked. For letting me go. For not making this uglier than it had to be. I looked at her. It was still ugly. I know, she said. But you could have made it worse. You didn't. We stood in silence for a moment. Then she said, I hope you find someone. I hope you stay happy, I replied. And I meant it. Even if it still stung. I don't cry as much now. I still have hard days. Days when I see our wedding photos and feel a crack deep inside. Days when I hear our daughter say daddy in that sweet voice, and it cuts me a little. But I'm healing. I take long walks. I drink tea in silence. I smile again, slowly. This isn't the life I planned. But it's the life I have. And I'm learning how to live it fully, just like he did. Some nights I lie in bed and still ask myself, was our marriage ever real? Did he love me, or just the idea of being married? Was I just part of the life he used to hide? I may never get full answers. And maybe that's okay. Some wounds don't close. They just stop bleeding after a while. I remind myself, he did love me, in his way. But he didn't love himself yet. That's what changed everything. I didn't tell them right away. But when I finally did, my mother sat in silence. My father stared at the wall. Then my mother said, but he seemed like such a decent man. He was, I said. Just not for me. My father cleared his throat. So he left you for a man? No, I said. He left me to live as a woman. They didn't get it. But they tried not to say anything hurtful. I didn't need them to understand everything. Just to be there. They did that. One day, she brought home a drawing from school. It showed 3 people holding hands. A child in the middle. A woman on the left. Another woman on the right, with a beard and earrings. I smiled. That's you and Daddy? I asked. Yes, she beamed. And me in the middle. She didn't say Felicia. She still called her Daddy. But that didn't matter. She saw love. Safety. Her 2 parents. That's all she needed. I kept that drawing. It reminded me what matters most. It was strange when it happened. Tony, Felicia's partner, sent me a message online. He said, I know this is unexpected, but I just wanted to say thank you. You raised a strong, kind daughter. And Felicia is who she is today because she had a safe space before she met me. That started with you. I didn't reply right away. But later, I typed, take care of her. And don't forget she used to love tea with honey in the mornings. He replied with a heart emoji. It was strange. But not bitter. I woke up one morning and stared at my face in the mirror. The long hair I had worn for years felt like it didn't belong anymore. Like I was holding on to a version of myself that no longer existed. I went to a salon. Asked the lady to cut it short. She hesitated. Are you sure? Yes. She chopped it all off. I looked at myself after. A new face. A fresh start. A lighter version of me. Sometimes letting go starts with scissors. It happened on accident. I was watching a silly movie with my daughter. Some cartoon character slipped on a banana peel. I laughed. Not a soft laugh. A loud one. The kind that echoes off the walls. My daughter stared at me. Then started laughing too. I realized, I hadn't laughed like that in over a year. Pain can take laughter away, but it also teaches you how good it feels when it finally comes back. I spent my next birthday alone. I got a small cake, lit a candle, poured myself a glass of juice. I wrote a letter to myself. Not to read now, but later, when I felt lost again. I wrote, "You survived. Not without scars, but with strength. You're not broken, just reshaped." I folded the letter and placed it in my drawer. Some people wait for others to celebrate them. I chose to start celebrating myself. One day, I ran into Felicia's mother at the market. She looked tired, older. We hadn't spoken in months. She said, "You've been strong." I nodded. She looked down. "I'm still trying to accept it. Still doesn't feel real." "It took me time too," I said. She nodded. "Do you think she's happy?" I smiled. "I think she finally is." We didn't say anything else. But in that silence, we found a little peace. I decided to move. The old house held too many memories. Too many ghosts in the kitchen, the bedroom, the hallway. I found a small apartment on the edge of town. Just 2 rooms. Simple. Quiet. It felt like breathing fresh air. I told Felicia. She offered to help. And she did. With boxes, with lifting, with driving. We didn't talk about the past. We just worked. Sometimes healing doesn't come from deep talks. Sometimes it comes from doing the work together, even after everything has changed. I am not the same woman who got married 8 years ago. That woman loved deeply, and she was hurt deeply. This version of me is softer, slower, wiser. I'm a mother, a survivor, a woman who didn't break, even when it felt like she would. And I've learned something important. When someone chooses to live their truth, it can hurt. But in the end, truth sets everyone free. Felicia found her truth. And I am still finding mine. It was almost midnight. My phone rang. It was Felicia. I picked up, half asleep. "Hello." "I'm sorry," she said. "I just needed someone to talk to." "What's wrong?" She paused. "Tony's out of town. And I felt lonely." It caught me off guard. "You could have called a friend." "You were more than my wife," she said softly. "You were my best friend too." We didn't talk long. Maybe 20 minutes. She asked about our daughter. I told her about school, about ballet class. After the call, I stared at the ceiling. I wasn't angry. Just surprised that after everything, I was still the one she called. For the first time since the divorce, I took a trip alone. I left our daughter with my parents for 3 days. Packed light. Went to a quiet town by the sea. I walked the beach barefoot. I sat in silence. I cried once, on the second night. Not out of pain. Just from release. I was doing okay. But I hadn't rested. This trip wasn't a vacation. It was recovery. When I came back, I felt lighter. A woman at work told me about a support group. People who've gone through hard changes, she said. Divorce, identity stuff, parenting, it's a mix. I didn't want to go at first. But I went. We sat in a circle. Shared stories. Nobody judged anyone. One man said his wife left him for her old high school sweetheart. Another woman said her sister stopped talking to her because she married a Muslim. When I shared mine, they listened. Nobody gasped. Nobody mocked. They just said, that must have been hard. And it helped. One Saturday, Felicia came over unannounced, with a gift. It was a small box. Inside, a necklace. I looked confused. I saw it and thought of you, she said. You don't have to keep it. It was simple. A thin gold chain with a tiny wave charm. It reminds me of you, she said. You bend, but you don't break. I wore it. Not because I still loved her like before, but because I believed her words. One night, my daughter asked, can you love 2 people at once? Why do you ask? I said, I just wonder. Daddy loved you, and now loves Tony. Is that bad? I held her hand. No, it's not bad. But sometimes, People change. And feelings change too. She looked unsure. I added, the most important kind of love is the one that stays kind, even when people change. She nodded. Kids understand more than we expect. One day, Tony came to pick up our daughter. Felicia was stuck in traffic. He stood awkwardly at the gate. I invited him in. He looked nervous. I've heard a lot about you, he said. And I've heard about you, I replied. She seems happy. He smiled. She's stronger than anyone I've ever met. She's always been strong. We shook hands before he left. I didn't expect us to be friends. But that small moment felt like a bridge. Sometimes I dream we're still together. In the dream, she's still Felix. We're laughing, making breakfast. Our daughter runs around the house. Then I wake up, and reality returns. I don't hate the dream. It's like visiting an old house. Familiar, warm, but no longer mine. And that's okay. This time, I wasn't alone. She made me a card. Drew me and her holding hands, with big hearts in the sky. Do you like it? She asked. I love it, I said. She kissed my cheek. You're the best, Mummy. That night, I lit a candle. She sang for me. I didn't wish for anything. I just felt thankful. Sometimes healing is quiet and small, but it stays with you. I wrote Felicia a letter. Not to send, just to write. It said, you broke my heart, but you also helped me grow. I was angry, but I also loved you deeply. Thank you for the good years. I forgive you for the rest. I folded the paper, put it in my journal. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing peace over pain. I've started doing things I used to put off. I joined a book club. I dance in the kitchen with my daughter. I started learning to drive. I'm not just recovering. I'm becoming. Becoming someone who can live with loss. Someone who finds joy again. Someone who looks at their story, every messy, beautiful, painful chapter, and says, I survived this. And I'm still writing the rest. It wasn't planned. He was a teacher at my daughter's school. He made a joke during a parent meeting, and I laughed too hard. Later, he asked if I wanted to get coffee sometime. I froze. It had been so long since anyone saw me like that, as someone to know, not just someone who had been left. I said yes. The coffee was simple. We talked about books, school fees, the weather. I didn't tell him about Felicia. Not yet. When I went home, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The second time we met, I told him. I used to be married, I said. To a man. We had a daughter. Then he transitioned. She is now Felicia. She's married to a man. We co-parent. He blinked. Then nodded slowly. Okay. Okay. I mean, it's a lot. But you're here now. And I like you. That was it. He didn't ask weird questions. He didn't try to understand everything. He just saw me. She was so excited. A pink bag packed, full of clothes and toothpaste and a teddy bear. Felicia came to pick her up. I'll bring her back tomorrow evening, she said. I waved as they drove off. The house was too quiet that night. I kept checking her room, out of habit. It hit me. This was the first full day I'd spent alone in years. No child. No partner. Just me. And I was okay. I hadn't gone in a while. But one Sunday, I went back to church. The pastor looked surprised. So did some women I used to sit with. After service, someone came over and whispered, "We've been praying for your healing." I smiled, but I wanted to say, "I'm not sick. I just went through something you don't understand." But I didn't fight. I sat through the next service too. God knows my story. That's enough. She brought home an assignment, draw your family tree. She drew herself at the center. One branch to me, one to Felicia, a line to Tony, a dotted line to my parents. She brought it to me. Is this okay? It's perfect, I said. It wasn't a traditional tree, but it was hers. And it was full of love. It happened once, unexpectedly. We had a parent meeting at school. Some other parents made a comment behind our backs. A joke. Felicia pretended not to hear. But outside the hall, she wiped her eyes quickly. I touched her shoulder. "You okay?" She nodded. "I'm used to it." "You shouldn't have to be." She looked at me. "I'm sorry for the pain I caused." I didn't say it's okay. I said, "I know." That's all we needed in that moment. She had a fever. Wouldn't eat. Cried through the night. Felicia came straight from work. Tony joined later with food and medicine. We all sat around the bed, watching over her. For a moment, it felt like we were one strange, stitched-together family. Not perfect. Not traditional. But real. The fever broke by morning. We drank tea in the living room, all three of us. No tension. No anger. Just love, for her. I found it while cleaning. An old notebook from years ago. I flipped through pages. I'm scared he'll leave me. I don't know why I feel like I'm not enough. I wish I could understand what's happening to him. Page after page of pain. Of guessing. Of breaking down in private. I closed the book. I almost threw it out. But I didn't. It's part of my history. And I'm no longer that woman. Our daughter made her a card with sparkles and stickers. I helped wrap a gift, nail polish and a soft scarf. When Felicia came to pick her up, I handed her the card and gift. She looked surprised. "From you." "From us." She smiled. "Thank you." "Happy birthday," I said. "You deserve peace too." She nodded, and for a moment, I saw it in her eyes. She was finally okay too. I'm not angry anymore. Not scared. Not bitter. Just human. My husband became a wife to another man. And yes, it broke me. But it also built me. It forced me to look in the mirror and find out who I am without someone else. Now I know. I am more than what was lost. I am what remains. I am what grew. And I am still becoming.